Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Ashley Hicks. What's up, Ashley?
Sup, everybody?
And we have Kyle Schrum. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You sound great. All right. And Joe Courtney, how you doing?
Yo,
We're here. Most of us are here. So we're
somewhere.
We're all somewhere. Yeah.
Different
amidst
somewheres.
The pandemic. Is the pandemic still going on?
Survey says.
I haven't turned on the news in a while, so
Yes.
just checking. All right. Still going on. Let's get updates. Joe, how's life?
Good, not bad, different. All those things. I wasn't sure what to go with. So, biggest news is first, I wish I had a sad violin to play because I am officially announcing that I'm no longer on the hard to kill track.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to tell people.
Wow.
I mean, why would I not tell people? I told you, but I feel like it needs to be told. I am now on Endure.
Man.
Well, why?
Well, it makes the most sense because of having lack of equipment, and 2 of the 4 days I can just do running, which makes it a whole lot easier. And then because it's so far, at least the first month, is a lot of body geometry, and it's a lot easier to scale some of those things versus like the heavier barbell lifting. So I'm getting really innovative with some of the scaling that I have because I don't have hardly anything.
So you're using like implements.
Pretty
Just
much.
like-
I've had to get creative. I can go over some of those at some point if need be. But so far, since I've shown up here, however, a barbell has arrived, a water rower has arrived, which I'll go more into, and there is a spin bike on the way.
That's awesome. Did you buy all that, or did you force?
I didn't buy a single thing. I didn't buy. I'm just a good influence. I show up and they're just like, "Hey, you should work out some more." Yeah, cool. I'm here for that.
Here's what you need to get.
Like when I have a kettlebell sent ahead of time when I'm traveling to someone's house for more than a week.
Yeah. So the barbell, I only have a set of 25s and 10s. And right now, because of the pandemic, everyone's hoarding their plates. So that's pretty much all I'm going to have to work with. But I'm getting creative with that. So doing some landmine stuff, if there's like kettlebell rows or presses or something like that.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, and I've seen in a couple of the groups too, that floor matting is like sold out at Tractor Supply and stuff.
Yeah. My brother called around to the places, like several places around the area. And they're like, yeah, no, it's a hot commodity. There's not around.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I feel like flooring is such a nice to have and not
That's like
a
the
need
icing
to
on the
have.
cake.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I love having the flooring, and like it can be helpful or whatever. But I mean, if I was creating an emergency garage gym, flooring would be the absolute last purchase. I'd be like, let's get all the stuff I need, and then flooring maybe. But hey, people are crazy.
Yeah,
just like toilet paper. What I can't predict what people are going to do. All right, is that it? Because I mean,
those are my big updates. I have more things to talk about if we just want to keep talking.
Well, we might, but let's first get something from Kyle. Kyle, how's life?
Life is good. Had a good fit week and made some progress. It was good. Hannah set several PRs. I kind of messed up one of her PRs.
4, right? She did 4 PRs.
Yeah. Well, technically,
source subject.
She had 4
is
that
not
could
5.
be counted towards a shirt, but she had more than that. So
this is how hardcore we are. So She really wanted that PR shirt,
the red one.
So she posted 5 different videos in the group, and then he's like, "That's 5," and then I was like, "Why'd she test a mile instead of a mile and a half?" And Joe was like, "I don't know." Joe agreed, and apparently that was your fault. You made her run a mile instead of a mile and a half.
It was my fault.
She's so close.
I got so caught up in her excitement about Fit Week that I brain farted that it was a mile and a half and not a mile. That a mile does not count towards the PR. She still PR'd her mile time.
Yeah, I mean, with
But
how
it
big of
just
a PR
doesn't-
it was too, I feel like she could have easily done the mile and a half. So like,
She did the mile and a half. We didn't go back to the track. She did it on the street out in front of our house, which is like lots of hills.
Mhm.
And she did the mile and a half and still PR'd it by, I think, 2 minutes. So yeah, on a track she would have crushed it. But we didn't film that one, and she's going to go for the red shirt next time.
all right.
And so, yeah, terrible husband / coach / person, I guess.
Well,
Anyway,
all right.
yeah. All right.
It's a good update.
That's it.
Ashley, how's life?
Life is good. Same old, same old. We've got a really good routine going on during the week. We find that the weekends kind of twiddling my thumbs. So I need to finally, I guess, implement some structure to my weekends during the weeks. Because of work and everything, I get up when my alarm goes off. I do my morning routine and get my workout in. And I still work out on Saturdays, but sometimes I'll let myself get up a little later or whatnot. So that drove me kind of crazy this weekend. So I think I'm going to have to implement something. But on a happy note, our best friends, their daughters' birthdays are today. So have you guys seen the teachers that are driving around like in a line and honking their horns for their kids and
We
whatnot?
did that.
We've had it happen at our house twice. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So it's like a parade these teachers and principals will do, and they'll go around to the students' houses and honk their horns and wave at the kids, tell them, keep doing a good job, I guess. I don't know what they tell them, but
Parades don't sound like social distancing.
it is.
They're all in their
car.
cars. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It was actually really cool. It's just cool to like see the community get together like that.
Yeah, it was fun to do. We had a school bus lead ours actually, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
yeah, so we did
your
it in
update.
a car of 3. And it was just, we did it for these little girls. And so we had balloons and brought them Chick-fil-A because they love Chick-fil-A. So we brought them lunch and, kind of dropped off the food in the front lawn and was like, bye, but they, it was really cute to see their faces and do that. And Connor was like, what in the world is happening? Because here I am honking my horn and screaming happy birthday out the window. So
That's awesome.
spread some joy.
Well, I'm about to spread some
Real joy.
hate. Some hate from. Okay, I got to tell the barbell giveaway story. You guys basically already know it, but I gotta lay out the full thing for everybody.
Oh,
All right.
no.
Okay,
Transparency.
so just so everyone knows, the barbell was given away. I'll update you on who and everything. But here's what happened. We use a software to collect everyone's contact information for the barbell giveaway. And it makes my job really easy pre-software like this existing because we've been doing giveaways. Joe and I kind of added it up. Like, I think all said and done, we're got to be close to like 30 barbells we've given away since Into 3 Fitness started. Like, it's getting in. I didn't think there were that many, but like there were a lot. Like, we've given away a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, we started using the software like 2 years ago. Everyone is entered, and then I just have to log in. I hit a button. It says, hey, we're ready to pick the winner for you. Pick. Out of the thousands and thousands of people who enter these giveaways, it will randomly select somebody, and then that's the winner. I don't have to have any bias or anything like that. And so I log in the other morning, hit the button, VD wins the barbell. Literally, VD was the winner of the barbell. If you didn't know, VD works here. He runs the shred track. And I was like, what are we going to do? Like, I messaged Joe first. I'm like, dude, we can't, I can't give the barbell to VD. No one will ever enter a giveaway at Into 3 Fitness ever again. Like, if I'm like, that was like, if I were to have won it, if I'm like, well, weird guys, but I just bought myself a barbell. Thanks for playing. So I told VD, like, man, we can't give it to you. And plus we don't ship internationally on these things anyway, because we've almost had our butts handed to us on that situation before as well. Anyway, VD technically was the winner. So congratulations, VD, on winning the barbell. It even tells you the probability. He had a 0.14% chance of winning the barbell, and he won it. Just so you know how things are going to operate when he does move back to the U.S., because he's not in the U.S. right now, I am going to send him a barbell as a End of 3 Fitness welcoming gift. So he did technically win the barbell, but that was crazy. VD didn't get it. So we had to select someone from the community. So there's another button that just says, draw again. If there's some reason like this person was excluded from the competition or whatever. So I hit redraw, and it was Corey Roundtree. Now, the reason this one is crazy, and you guys might not know, is she won like the first barbell giveaway I did ever. Like on the podcast, is like the Better Humanology podcast. I did a barbell giveaway, but it was podcast listener giveaway only. So you had to submit a review like we were doing here, but I wouldn't announce it in like 5 Line Friday or anywhere else. And there wasn't the software to make my job easier or whatever. And so you had to listen to the podcast like listening now, and I'd announced the winner. And I said, I was like, okay, well, if you don't claim it within like 6 weeks, I'm going to have to go to the second person on the list who won the barbell. She never claimed it, but she never claimed the bar. So she won like the first barbell giveaway ever. And she didn't claim it. She was like traveling or something. She wrote me like 8 weeks later and was like, oh, like, can I get it? And wasn't as nice back then. I didn't give it to her. I had already given it to someone else. And so, yeah, she didn't win. And again, 100% click of a button randomness here. Like, I don't go through and select, like, I screenshot all this stuff just in case anybody ever wants to like, test my ethics, if you will, or my integrity. But the fact that, okay, one, Ashley, magic with I want a rower. We end a podcast. She gets a rower. Corey has won a podcast giveaway twice. Once she didn't actually get anything. The second time she did. But like, talk about the luckiest person alive. Like, come on. If Corey, I know you're listening to this right now, go do like a lottery or something. And I don't normally recommend that for most people, but for you, I highly recommend going and getting involved. So anyone who wants a barbell in the future, we will be doing more giveaways in the future. So keep listening. We'll announce those. Now, quick updates from me. I'm back on the Whoop train for now. We'll see how it's going. They have a lot of new features I didn't know about that I wanted to test out. Like, they have this journaling feature now where there's like hundreds of different questions you can select. Like, did you use a sauna? Did you fast today? Like, all these, they didn't used to do that. And now it will start seeing what kind of patterns there are with these different recovery modalities you're doing. But it takes a long time. It takes like a couple months for them to start saying like, hey, every night that you got in the sauna, your HRV was this many points higher or something like that. So that's why I'm using the Whoop again. I didn't know about that feature, so it's back. So I'm using that right now. I'm back on the Hard to Kill track, which is awesome. I love the Hard to Kill track. I always wonder why I leave sometimes. And then we have like a record number of PR shirts going out right now and Killing Comfort patches. So bear with us as that goes through. Like, they'll go through. I think it's close to done, but like the shipping portion of it, like that might take a little extra time. If you got a PR shirt, or if you don't know, if you're not a part of the community, if you post a video of the PR, we send a free PR shirt. Killing Comfort patch is only for those athletes who logged 80% completion, so did more than 80% of their cycle in the app, and we can track it. So that's Killing Comfort patch. But that is all the updates. You guys have anything else on VD's misery or Corey's ridiculous amount of luck?
Yeah, we're just going to write an IOU barbell on a napkin and send it to him. So I hope he hangs on to it. If not, oh well.
Yeah, if he forgets, I mean, I guess we don't technically have to send him.
I wonder how many Corey Roundtrees we're going to have sign up next time.
Well, she spells her name very uniquely, so.
It's true. We'll be able to pick them out.
The software is by email, like it's name and email. So there's only one person who can get emailed. Yeah. All right. Now to the study. We're going over footwear in the squat. I thought this one would be interesting. So the name of the study is Heel-Raised Foot Posture Does Not Affect Trunk and Lower Extremity Biomechanics During a Barbell Back Squat and Recreational Weightlifters. My goodness. So they were just looking at, footwear and the squat. They looked at barefoot on an incline, and also weightlifting shoes. So they had 14 subjects perform squats with 80% of 1 rep max under 3 different conditions, like I mentioned. and they did a lot of EMG stuff and looked at the difference. Let me see if there's anything else to hit on in the study. So there were 7 men and 7 women. So that's something to note, Ashley. They did at least both. And then they had to have at least 2 years of squatting experience. And the average 1 rep max was about 1.22 times body weight. That's not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, I don't think it's that bad. Okay. Ashley's giving me like the thumbs down over there. But okay. I'll go over the study overview real quick, and then we can jump into some takeaways. So in the first visit, the subject tested their 1 rep max barefoot squat. All squats were performed to parallel with a shoulder width stance, neutral foot position, and a high bar position. Note that. In the second visit, the subjects were outfitted with EMG electrodes on their vastus lateralis and spinal erectors, blah, blah, blah. They did a whole bunch of EMG stuff, like a lot of them. They, like, if I were to read off all the measurements, they looked at a bunch of stuff. In a randomized counterbalanced order, each subject performed 3 sets of 1 rep with 80%. So after they had their 1 rep max in the first visit, with 3 different foot postures or footwear conditions. And that, like I mentioned, was barefoot on flat ground, barefoot on an inclined surface, and wearing weightlifting shoes with a raised heel, approximately 3.3 centimeters. And drum roll, please, the findings. There were no significant difference for any of the measures. Yay. It doesn't matter what footwear you use. Anyway, let's dive into our takeaways, because there's a lot more to unpack than that. But I'll start with you, Joe.
First, I kind of thought about low bar at first, but then they're measuring quad dominant, like those that are trying to load the quad up a bit more. So it is totally subjective. I wear weightlifting shoes because I have bad ankle mobility. But another thought was it could behoove somebody that it depends on how your feet are, not necessarily just your ankles. But if you have high arches, you probably are losing some ankle mobility, which I have really high arches. And then Liz has very low collapsing arches. So her arches collapse really well. So she doesn't need weightlifting shoes. She's totally fine with normal shoes because they can mobilize more. So
let's take a quick poll here amongst the coaches. Joe, you wear weightlifting shoes?
Yep.
Yes. Ashley?
For squatting.
Depends. I've done both.
Do you own a pair right now, though?
Correct. Yes,
okay.
I do.
Kyle? I do not.
Do not. And I'm a do not. Okay. So 50-50. We are making even the review of the study equal and those with an opinion. So Ashley, what were some of your takeaways?
So my takeaway too, so they were looking, I guess, at, does it put, I'm trying to say this correctly. So if you, basically when you squat down, if your spine does anything kind of crazy or kind of weird, they also looked kind of at which way your knees go and how far out your knees track. But my thing on this was so for me, when I started weightlifting, if you will, because I had never squat with a barbell until 2010, 2011. I needed that little raise, if you will, to get down a bit, even just to parallel, because I had hip flexor issues.
Got it.
So then I spent a crap ton of time down at the bottom of a squat with just my body weight and no shoes or anything like that. But I have found too, I have coached a lot of females as well who potentially have never done weight. And I have found that even just putting like little 10-pound plates underneath their heels sometimes can get them down to parallel so they can feel that movement. Now, yes, I use weightlifting shoes sometimes when I go heavy, but I have also done the exact same amount of weight without my weightlifting shoes. So I don't know. This kind of just proves it, kind of what Joe said, like if you need it for ankle stability, or if you just like it to have like a little, I don't know, just a little raise, then sure, wear it. But it pretty much just disputes the fact that if you are, lifting heavy, you kind of don't even need the weightlifting shoes. Now, are you doing Olympic lifting? Like if you're an Olympic lifter, that's a whole other different story in my personal opinion. But
and none of us are. And
Nope.
nobody listening to this podcast is. I can guarantee it. No, I'm just
There you
kidding.
go. So, anyways, that was my takeaway for that. Was it kind of disputes the fact that I don't need weightlifting shoes.
Kyle, what were some of your takeaways?
Nothing really that hasn't been said already. And I think that's kind of what the study proves. Well, they kind of ruin it for you in the title of the study. It's like, hey, this doesn't work. It's like, oh, well, I don't need to read it now. Moving on. But I think what this is helpful for is kind of debunking a bit of bro science, maybe, especially I know I have a lot of friends still. Excuse me. I have a lot of friends still that kind of do CrossFit, and they've got like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes that they take to the gym with them every day, and they change them during the workout. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, why do you need to change shoes, so many times to do a workout? It's like, I don't know that's really actually giving you that much of a performance boost. Maybe it is. But I think maybe, too, it's kind of just drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit sometimes, where people are like, oh, these things are going to jack my squat, through the roof. I'm going to go buy them. You know what I mean? And I just don't – I think that this kind of helps with that, of kind of debunking some of that bro science of there's nothing wrong with grabbing some to try them out and see if it helps you. I think that's, all of us can agree, like, go and try things and find out what works for you. But when it's something that doesn't, this study definitively proves, hey, there's just really not a big difference. These don't make that big of a difference. And so, they can help people in certain situations, but the statistical difference is just not big enough to justify going out and buying these things. And not everybody should have them and all those things. I think, like Ashley said, if you're going to do Olympic weightlifting, you should get weightlifting shoes. It's like, if you're going to play soccer, you need to have soccer cleats, or something like that. It's just, if you're going to do the sport that they're designed for, then you should probably use them. But I just think it'll kind of debunk some of that bro science, where I don't have to go and spend $150 on a pair of shoes just so I can squat a little bit more weight. I typically go barefoot, and that's typically what I do. So.
Yeah. Barefoot is a great option. I do that a lot, actually. I'll go barefoot. Most of the times I just wear, I have Chuck Taylors, so that's something that's really flat. Or I would use Reebok CrossFit Nanos have always been fine for me for any type of lifting, no matter how heavy it gets. But like running shoes, that's the main takeaway I think everyone should get here, is like, you want a very flat, stable surface. If that's weightlifting shoes for you, great. If that's Chuck Taylors, great. If it's barefoot, awesome. Whatever you're going to have the most stability in. And you will notice as you get heavier if you lack stability, primarily in running shoes. Like if you're trying to lift in running shoes, that's going to be a huge problem. And just so everyone knows, I kind of skimmed over like what they were measuring with all the EMG measurements and stuff, because it would be kind of stupid to just, lay all that out there. You can go read the study. We have it linked in the show notes. But they were really looking at, not just performance, because they were measuring like how fast the bar was moving and stuff, but they were looking at safety. Is there a difference? And the answer was no for those two things. So, sometimes we have people reach out about the podcast with other things, and this is what they were looking at. They were looking at safety and performance, and there didn't seem to be a difference in either. So it's not like they were only measuring performance but not taking into account the safety element, or only measuring safety and not taking into this performance element. It was a pretty good study overall. And I don't think, I've used weightlifting shoes. I don't like them. I don't like, we're going to talk about this in our topic for the day. I don't like equipment. Like, I don't like having stuff. Like, I'm such a minimalist when it comes to training. Like, I hate having to have something that I put on or need, because I used to be that way. Like, I used to be that way before I started more performance-based training, and I hated not having something, or if I forgot something or whatever, I felt like I hated having that crutch, because I felt like sometimes it could be that for me. But I think as long as you're flat-footed and, feeling safe with whatever you're doing, then it won't matter. I do think that what Ashley mentioned is probably the best recommendation. If you don't want to go buy, because lifters are pretty expensive shoes. That's another thing that irritates me. Like, they're really expensive. They do one thing. And I'm a very like versatile type thing. That's the same reason I don't have a lifting platform in my garage. You know, how you could build out a lifting, like I can only deadlift on this and like maybe do some cleans. Like that's a waste of space in my garage. And same with shoes. It's a waste of my money because I could lift the same, like every PR I've ever hit has probably been in Reebok Nanos, no joke. So like, you know, it does, I don't think it matters that much. But what Ashley said, a good way to experiment with this stuff would be plates under heels. If you just want to get a taste for it. And if you're like, holy crap, like that's awesome, you know, then you might have some ankle flexibility issues or hip flexor issues like Ashley's talking about. And these might be good for you until you fix the problem like Ashley did. Like, I think that should be the biggest takeaway from anyone from Ashley's stuff is like, she didn't just say, oh, I can't squat very low, but these shoes help me squat low, problem solved. That's like taking a Tylenol for a headache and you get a headache every single day. It's like, no, why are you getting the headache? So same with this. If you don't have that ankle flexibility, is it something that you could work on? Or hip flexor flexibility, is it something you could work on and overcome to where it's not a necessity to have this raised heel position to do squats? So those are kind of some of my takeaways and thoughts on that. And like I said, main takeaway, don't wear squishy shoes. Just wear something a little bit more stable. Also, Reebok Nanos, not a sponsor. Not a sponsor, but for some reason I've been wearing them like since they came out as a shoe. So like the 1.0, like the very first one, like you could put them in your oven or use a hairdryer to form them to your feet is like a cool feature. And then they did away with that after the 1.0, but I've been wearing them since then. And I get a new pair every single year. And then the only other pair, well, I guess that we get into the gear situation, but anyway, not a sponsor. I've just been wearing them for a long time. So we can transition to the topic now to talk about what gear we use or stuff that we use to kind of assist in our training. Joe, what do you use?
So I do use shoes every once in a while. Now, typically I've gotten away with doing them on back squat for like, it's less of a crutch now. And I typically only wear them if we're doing like 80% or more, or some kind of crazy, if there's any kind of crazy sets, like tempo sets, cause they're just miserable anyway. So I warm up as far as I can with them on for back squat. But one thing just to kind of backtrack and note a little bit is that try them out with front squats because you have to, or try chalking your heels with front squats because you have to keep much more of a vertical torso with Dewey nose. And video your feet to see what angles your feet do when with and without. Because if your feet are turning out angle wise as you're front squatting, then you might need to chalk your heels some. But so I always wear them during front squats because I know I need a little bit more of a ankle help because of my super high arches. Other than that, it's not much. Belts I only put on when I'm above 80%. I've pretty much haven't worn wrist straps in like a year and a half because I just don't need to, even with like doing cleans. And also, I think that's about the same time that I started wearing watches. And I'm just like, how the hell am I going to wear my wearable watch and a wrist strap at the same time? So the watch won. I do have multiple pairs of shoes, Kyle. I have so many pairs of fitness shoes, so don't judge me. But that's because I have running, I have my fitness ones, my regular Nanos, my squat ones, I have trail ones, you know, so I got all the shoes. It's fine to have all the shoes. Just saying.
I wasn't saying that. I was saying taking like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes with you to the gym every day and changing them during the workout. Like
that is annoying. Like I have cycling shoes, so like clip-in pedals, right? But I also have clip-in pedals on my Concept 2 bike erg. So if we have a workout that's like some activity and that, you can't with clip-in pedal shoes. You can't like you can't do anything else except for ride on a bike with those things. So yeah, I either would have to switch every time, which would be super annoying and dumb because I'm trying to fitness here. I'm not trying to tie shoes. So just riding without. Ashley, what kind of gear are you rocking?
So I do have my weightlifting
bandana.
shoes.
Sorry, I had to jump in. Bandana.
Bandana.
Forgot that.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Top of the list.
Ashley. Yeah.
You're fine.
With that.
I do have weightlifting shoes. I wear them every once in a while. Sometimes I use them during Fit Week, or if it's, I don't know, if it's kind of heavy. But typically, I just lift in my. I don't have Nanos. I almost said Nanos just because Jared said it. I have Metcons. I like my Nike Metcons, but I have very narrow feet. Jared has a wide foot.
I tried the Metcons. Doesn't work.
Well, you have a wide foot, and
Right.
I have a narrow foot, so Nike works really well for me, and I can actually buy my actual size. I've heard a lot of people have to go up a half size or maybe a full size on Nike if they do that. So anyways, Nike Metcons. I do have weightlifters. I do own wrist wraps. All of the stuff that I own, which kind of hits on Kyle's point, when I was a CrossFitter, if you will, I drank that Kool-Aid and I bought all the things that I saw everybody else buy. So
CrossFitters love their gear.
It's crazy. So I have wrist wraps. I've never worn them as a garage gym athlete because I just don't need them. I'm not, I can lift about my body weight overhead. So it's not like my wrists are like, I don't know, they don't really hurt. I also have like gymnastics grips, which again, I tried out as a CrossFitter and I didn't really like them because I have carny hands. I like to say I have really tiny hands. So
cabbage.
Yeah. So I have found that the gymnastic grips still slip underneath. And so I still rip out. So I'm like, well, what's the point? Like the whole point of this is supposed to protect my hands. I'll get into stuff I like. I do like my belt. I have a weightlifting belt. It's pink. I need a blue one. So I got to update that here soon. And then I wear knee sleeves. And I like to wear knee sleeves for heavy lifting. Or like if I do Murph, sometimes I wear knee sleeves. But typically I don't unless it's super high rep on air squats. But yeah, so that's pretty much. Oh, chalk. I sweat like a man. So my grip goes.
I find that offensive.
That's very offensive.
What? Why you got to put us out there like that? I don't need chalk.
Boys sweat a lot, and I sweat a lot too, and it's fine. It means we're working hard. So I chalk up my hands a lot for, especially if I'm trying to hold my body and I'm doing like toes to bar, or if I'm doing pull-ups or kipping pull-ups, stuff like that. Because the last thing I need is to slip off. Because I have a fat bar. Jared's seen it, and that's the last thing I need to do is slip off my fat bar and fall. So,
well, just so you know, having lived where you are currently living, there will not be enough chalk middle of the summer with the humidity and the heat. Like it just won't even be possible to chalk the hands. Actually, I found I never owned any, but someone gave me some once in the middle of like a summer training session outside. Liquid chalk, and that seemed to work. It works for a limited time. Yeah, I mean, I guess so does chalk, but
try
liquid,
this. Not bad.
Yeah, liquid chalk seemed to work like in the middle of the summer when even like the palms of your hands are sweating profusely. Cool.
I will invest.
Kyle.
Well, I have not really been able to drink the Kool-Aid gear-wise because I'm broke. So I just couldn't. I have to be very, very choosy about the stuff that I buy. And
barbell or
right. But fortunately, I haven't found a situation where I need a lot of that stuff. But I do have a belt. I have the Rogue Echo belt, which is my best friend. Besides my barbells. I'm sorry, barbells.
You have multiple barbells? You're not broke, dude. I had one barbell for like 10 years.
Yeah. The people I get my stuff on Facebook Marketplace from have multiple barbells in my deals. So I get them that way. So yeah, my belt, but I only wear it when we're going heavy, 80% or up, because I think that's one point that we maybe kind of glossed over a little bit with the gear. In the study is the stuff doesn't need to become a crutch for you. It's like you said, it doesn't need to be something where I'm using this to fix it and I'm going to use it all the time and I can't do it without it. And so that's kind of why I think all of us have mentioned, there's certain gear that we have, but we only use it in certain workouts and at certain intensities and things like that. And that's the reason is, I don't use the belt for lower than 80% because I want to be able to squat properly in any other time other than going super heavy. So I have a belt. I had knee sleeves that I would wear. It made heavy squats a little more comfortable. I don't feel like it really helped my performance. It just made things a little more comfortable. And
did you say make things more uncomfortable?
No, more comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. My dog killed that comfort for me, though. He got a hold of my knee sleeves, and he got a hold of my Chuck Taylors. So those are all gone now. And so, and have not replaced them yet. So, but the Chucks, I mean, I like the Chucks, but I don't know that I need to get another set of Chuck Taylors. I can just go barefoot now. And I do kind of miss the knee sleeves, though. Those felt nice. I wore them in Spartan races too. They help in Spartan races, and they help my knees feel better during that. And then a chalk, I chalk it up, and I do have my powerlifting singlet that I wore that one time for that one competition that I did, and I don't wear it ever again.
That's not like cleaning the kitchen activity on the weekends or something?
No, I don't. I should do that just to see what Hannah.
Yeah, I do stuff like that around here all the time.
Yeah, just like, I may do that.
The strength track, you're doing there's some weighted carries. You got to throw it on those days.
That's true. I'm going to be doing those outside too. So that'll be perfect.
Your neighbors are going to love that.
Yeah. I'll get my vitamin D that way too. While I'm outside doing my weighted carries.
Be sure to snort whatever they snort before they do lifts.
Yeah.
That seems like the cool thing. Yeah. Just smell something.
Smelling
just
salts.
shake your head a lot. Yeah.
I don't have any of that.
Slap yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Gear for me is pretty limited. Belt, yes. Chalk, yes. Shoes, nanos, and then I have a pair of running shoes. So I do have 2 different pair of shoes. So basically, if I'm staying in my garage, not leaving the garage, I'll wear nanos no matter what's going on. If I leave the garage, which means there's most likely some sort of run, then I will have running shoes on. And that goes back to, and I wasn't like that before. It was nanos for basically everything. And then I had some knee problems at the beginning of 2019, got those all resolved. And she was like, you running those? I'm like, yeah. She's like, how far? I'm like, however far I need to. She's like, yeah, let's get some running shoes and maybe like don't get cheap ones. And I was like, okay. So I got some Ultras and I do use those for running. But that's basically it. I did wrist wraps for a while, but I had a lot of wrist problems, but they have all gone away. And so I don't really use wrist wraps. I do own them. I'm trying to think if there's all of my money for gear goes into like wearables and those kind of things. I like Whoop and Apple Watch, and like I'm more interested in those kind of things when we're talking about gear than I am anything else. I really hate anything else on my body. Like knee sleeves, I own those as well, but they annoy me. They start to move, I get angry, and now I'm angry in a workout. It's not good. It's just that doesn't help me. I'm not calm. I need to remain calm. And so yeah, I'm just not a big fan of gear. I don't like needing it. I don't want to have to put it on or have to need it, like Kyle said. I don't like a crutch. But if you have all that stuff and it helps you, by all means, like use it. I'm not hating on it. I think it sounds like we're all basically in the same camp when it comes to gear. If I do, like during Fit Week, maybe this is just like a mental thing. That's the only time I actually do lift in Chuck Taylors. Like throughout the whole cycle, I'll be in nanos, just squatting, deadlifting, or whatever. When it comes to max out time, I will put on Chuck Taylors for that.
You kind of go against your own advice.
It's like a tradition.
Like practice how you play. Like, oh, don't try this on competition day. Do this before. So
yeah, but I've lifted them in so much. Like that's not like a new thing. That's like I've done it a lot, so I'm just going to do it again. But you're kind of right, I would say. I don't know why I do that. It just actually popped in my head. But that's it. That's all the gear for me.
I have a fun hypothetical that I've actually thought of a long time ago that goes perfect with today.
Let's hear it. I'm
not excited at all for it.
I know I'm ready. Like
anyway.
I'm ready.
I'm bracing myself here.
Yeah. So, okay. If you could be sponsored by one shoe company for the rest of your life, but you can only wear that brand of shoes, what brand would you go with?
Reebok. Was that serious?
Some people might actually have to think about it because you got to think about training shoes, but then there's also running, there's trail running, or just hiking, all those things.
I would say, Ultra has all of those things. So I had Ultra trail runners. I don't have them anymore, but I had some of those. I have Ultra just like road running. And then they came out with a cross training type shoe, like to compete with Metcons and the Nano. And I got them and I just wasn't a fan. I just wasn't, I wish so badly that I liked them. If I liked them, my answer would probably be Ultra, but since I use the Nanos for so much stuff and have logged a lot of running miles in Nanos, I'd probably go Reebok.
Is there one company that makes shoes across that spectrum that could be, you could go with one company? Joe, could you go with one company?
Pretty much
Innovate.
any.
Innovate.
I think any shoe, like big name brand, would probably, like Ashley will probably say Nike, right? Like you can do everything with Nike. You can even get like golf shoes with Nike.
I know, but the soccer player in me says I can do all that with Adidas too. So I'm like,
I don't see them having trail running shoes or hiking shoes.
Maybe she doesn't. But they don't need to have those things. It's her choice, man.
Well, yeah, I know. But you said across all spectrums.
All of her spectrums.
Hey, if I'm sponsored and they're just giving me shoes, I don't really care who it is. I'll take free shoes. I'm good with that.
All right. So you said Adidas, Innovate. I went with Reebok, and you were any shoe that's willing to give you free pairs. Got it.
They don't even have to fit.
I will cut out the front so my toes.
I was gonna get like the 4-stripe Adidas brand or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the workout, which is very exciting because we have a brand new, never before seen or heard of Meet Yourself Saturday workout called Fat and Sugar. And since it's the first, I will brief it. So you're going to repeat the following circuit: 8 minutes of zone 2, running, biking, or walking, followed by 2 minutes of zone 4 or greater, doing burpee pull-ups. Competitors will wear a vest. You'll do as many burpee pull-ups as you can in those 2 minutes. So you're going to repeat that 8 minutes zone 2, 2 minutes high intensity burpee pull-ups until you have accumulated 100 burpee pull-ups. Then you're going to have a 5-minute recovery period. During that recovery period, you're going to tally up how much time you spent in zone 1 or zone 3. And for every 1 minute spent in zone 1 or zone 3, you'll complete 10 burpees with a 100 burpee cap. Now, real quick, that's a lot of math for some people. If you don't have a heart rate zone, you don't care, it essentially would be 8 minutes of low intensity, 2 minutes high intensity, as many burpee pull-ups as you can do in 2 minutes, accumulate 100 burpee pull-ups, and then rest 5 minutes and then do 100 burpees for those without heart rate monitor. So that's it. That's the workout. I think Joe did a version that ended up not being the workout. I'm the only one who's technically done the workout.
I just want to go on record and say I was the very first person to do this workout. It was not official yet, but I did it. So Fat and Sugar, check.
Yeah. So yeah, he did do a version of Fat and Sugar, which may end up being harder. He actually kind of got injured doing it. So
not this time.
Thought you hurt your hamstring, or it was.
I was just really fatigued.
Got it. Okay. Any tips you could see from Ashley or Kyle having not done it? Anything you see? How would you attack this workout?
I would just take a nap.
Yeah. So we'll go over that afterwards, actually.
Okay. Ashley's turn.
So what I said for myself and maybe for people will be the run for zone 2. So that's my thing. If my heart rate can spike very fast when I'm running, especially even though Florida's mostly flat around my neighborhood, I do have hills and I have this loop that I do, especially if it's only 8 minutes, that maybe about a mile. So, but I'm trying to do zone 2, so probably not a mile. So I have to be careful with that. So you might have to jog shuffle. I'm thinking like what basically we do for Murph, zone 2 Murph. And then I'm actually not really concerned with being in zone 3 for the burpee pull-ups. I just think burpees really get your heart rate up if you're doing them correctly, how this should be.
The only lag time is in your heart rate actually reading it. you know, that's what I notice is like, because I did the workout, not the full thing. I did 70% of it, 75% of it in testing it. And I was doing burpee pull-ups so fast, and I can just kind of tell when my heart rate's already maxed out. I'm like, I'm definitely maxed out. And it's like, I looked at my watch, it's like 145. I'm like, that's not right. That's not right. And then, but like 20 seconds later, it'd be like 181. I'm like, okay, yep, that's where I thought it was. So yeah, that's where it's going to lag.
I would say do the burpee pull-ups fast. That's what's going to determine how long this workout lasts for you. And you're doing zone 4 anyway, so you need to be up there anyhow. But you need to try to get as many of those done in that 2-minute round. You need to try to get as many of those done as possible in that 2 minutes, because otherwise you're gonna, otherwise it's going to go on forever. And
that's why I think it's perfectly designed, because this is not how the workout started. The workout started with just like 2 minutes of burpee pull-ups. You'll be done after so many rounds. But then we put the 100 burpee accumulation on there. So if you want to sandbag it and go slow on the burpee pull-ups, you could be there for several hours. If you want to go fast, you might be done in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. So now, Joe, do you want to talk about the version that you did?
I can if you want. I mean, but I don't really need to. Mine was 10 minutes of zone 2 running and then 1 minute of zone 4.
Sprinting.
But yes, so you get penalized for being in zone 3. For those of you who don't know, zone 3 exists between 2 and 4. You have to go through 3 to 2 and 4. So
it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say penalty.
Yeah.
It's just 100 additional work.
In the hour and 15 minute hour and 50 minute of my version, because it was supposed to be originally 10 rounds, I had about 25 minutes of zone 3.
Whoa.
Because of in between, because it took my body about 20 to 30 seconds to get to zone 4 from 2 to 4.
But your heart rate is also different than everybody else's.
Yeah, and then on the way back down as well, like you can only slow your heart rate as much as you can. So
you're like on the ground laying down.
Yeah, so
before you start running again.
That's my first tip. Take off your vest and go fetal. Just go fetal. Get that heart rate down real quick, and then get on your zone 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of tips other than
prepared to do 100 burpees afterwards.
Yeah, you'll most likely do all 100 burpees after it's done. The zone 2 that Joe mentioned, like you can lay down if you want, but I would just maybe not actually lay down, but if you very slow walk or, barely moving before you get back into that pace, but you're going to have to constantly watch it. And that's like the negative of, like I said, I'm wearing a Whoop now. Whoop kind of tells you heart rate data after the fact. I mean, you can use the phone, but I won't. So this is something I'd have to strap on the Apple Watch for, where I can look at my zones the entire time when I'm doing it. But yeah, knock out as many burpee pull-ups as you can. I'm with Kyle on that train. If you don't, you'll just be doing the workout all day. It'll take a long time. But that is it. You guys have anything else on that one?
Well, and that's more time. If you drag it out, that's more time that you're going to be spending in that, zone 3, going back and forth, which means more not penalty burpees.
Yeah, you're not being penalized.
You can only rack up to 100. So, but if you want to avoid doing 100 more burpees after all of that nonsense, then, do it fast.
I really hope you do this one, Kyle. I'd like to hear about your experience.
Maybe
Speaking of, I just want to go over the story about when this was first announced.
Oh gosh, it was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Jared said, what'd you say? So I got to meet you so Saturday workout, but I think I need.
Yeah, I had an idea for it. It had the bare bones. I was like, I was just seeing if anybody was around, because it was in Slack. I was like, hey, does anybody help me like sharpen this up? Because it's missing something. And so I had the basic idea for fat and sugar. Kyle was the first one to respond. He was in there right away. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Shoot it to me. And then I literally wrote the workout out, and he said, see ya. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
No shame.
I was just like, I'll do it. And then, nope, I'm out. Because originally it was the 10 rounds of all the running. And then he didn't say anything for like 30 minutes.
It was like me and Joe and Marco. I think Ashley chimed in at the end and finally came up with that, like close to what it is now. And Kyle never said another word.
I don't remember what was happening at the time. I think it was with my family doing something.
It was hilarious because you responded within like 30 seconds. I was like, hey, I need help with this. Who's around? And you're like, I am. Let's do it. And you're like, oh, nope, I'm out. Never heard. I think it was like several days before we actually heard from him again.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
Actually concerned about his safety. But
I'm glad that we mentioned Marco, though, because Marco did have a hand in putting this together.
It was actually way harder.
Everyone needs to
let the Kokoro guy chime in. And he's just like, let's do it.
Yeah, I originally just wanted to do running, make it all monostructural or biking or whatever. And then Marco was like, how about
Burpee
pull-ups with a vest. And I was like,
what are you doing?
That's a great idea. Let's do that. Way to make it better. So yeah, great addition to the team. So that is it, guys. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. If you want to join our training, go ahead and go to garagegymathlete.com and sign up for a free trial. We would love to have your support where we can keep doing podcasts and providing awesome programming. We just started a new cycle. It'd be a great time to get in. If you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard all about it. And we'd love to have you as a part of the community, get you a Killing Comfort patch if you are deserving of such, and a PR shirt. But that is it.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.